And hey there, it's me, Mudlink. Welcome back to some more The Greatest Eternity Adventures. So last time we finished off the third part of the investigation. We were investigating with Iris, trying to get Gina to come to our side. We found out that Susato is leaving tomorrow for Japan, and we found out also that that Magnus McGilded's crimes before the third case tie back into this one quite heavily. As we found out that, oh Lord, he basically just threatened Gina to lie in court, and just it's not a good sign. So anyway, we'll be continuing with the fourth part of the investigation. Hang on. All right, I'm back. Here we are again at the scene of the crime. Now to thrust these representation papers in Gregson's face and see what he makes of them. Hello again, Inspector. Do you have a minute, please? What is it now? Should go home and get some rest. Here you are, Gregsy. Here are the representation papers. Your ladyship! How? I don't believe it. How the devil did you get that stubborn little ragabash to sign that? I salute you. That is good work, that is. I can see you've been very busy here as well. How about some tea? It's a special blend designed to relieve fatigue. Ah, lovely. Well, let's see now. Yes, I hardly feel tired at all. I'm fit as a fiddle, your ladyship. Would it be alright if we investigate the scene of the crime, then? Do as you please. You know where it happened. Through that door behind the counter. Yes, the storeroom. That's where I discovered Mr. Windybank and Gina. Right, well, I'll be getting to business then. Back to business then. Will you be investigating in the storeroom as well, Inspector? Well, I'm perfectly honest. We need to wrap this up before long. Can't afford to spend too much time on it. But there are so many articles to go through. It's taking forever, even with the lads working round the clock. Which is a problem, because there's another case the yard needs to investigate urgently. That must be what Lord Strongheart meant by far more serious matters before. So what I'm saying is, don't get under my feet, sunshine. Come then, let us not waste any time. Start examining things. So first here we got... Oh, look here. Oh yes, a bullet hole, and I can see the bullet is still lodged in the wall. Presumably, Mr. Windybank wasn't practicing with his revolver in his spare time. Ah, well. Mr. Holmes likes to practice in his drawing room whenever he can. He's very patriotic like that. Sorry? So they're in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, you know. Isn't that right, Iris? Ah, did I write something like that? Partly in jest, perhaps. In jest? Well, he doesn't do it often. It is quite a dangerous pastime. He doesn't do it often. You shouldn't even do it once. Forget that for now, Runo. Let's examine this bullet. Set around the bullet hole. Is it blood? Suspicious red stain on the calendar. Aha! I may well be able to help with that. What? There's something like the sight of blood to get the blood pumping, is there, Runo? Ugh, I have a feeling I'm not as bloody-minded as you are. Bloody hell. I'm afraid the sight of blood makes my blood run cold. There you have it, you see? When it comes to blood, we're all different types. Yes, what a scientific observation. So you need this. Oh no, what is that scary-looking thing? Early on I haven't actually come up with a name for it yet, but as soon as you see it in action, you'll understand what it does. Watch. Oh, the color of the blood stain has changed. There, does that make sense now? Yes, I think I'm starting to understand. Good. It works on the principle that different people have different types of blood, you see? Yes, how wonderful. The chemical it fires combines with the blood and makes it change color. So you can identify whose blood it is that you're looking at. In a flash. Oh, what a fabulous invention, Iris. Isn't it? Isn't it? I bet Ginny would say it's bleeding great. So whose blood are we looking at then? Well, all the chemical does is turn the blood a different color, so just find someone whose blood turns the same color and you'll know who it belongs to. In a flash. It's more like 2 flashes, really, isn't it? Ain't it? 1 flash or 2. This could well turn out to be a very valuable clue. So we must take note of it in the court record. Let's keep testing and adding the results of any other blood analysis to the portfolio. As long as I have reagent left, sure. So this is what that strange contraption that lets you see pictures of things as if they're right in front of your eyes. It makes you think when Mr. Holmes gleefully showed it to us yesterday, we were blissfully unaware that any of this was about to happen. Fairly sure this contraption was here yesterday as well. Here we are, though I'm not confident I can get it closed again. Oh yes, the folding stereoscope. Really? Is it a stereoscope? Mr. Holmes showed us a picture yesterday that you were supposed to be able to see in 3 dimensions, but for that he used a great big contraption over there. Oh well, that's for use in public houses and places like that. It contains a carousel with all sorts of pictures inside. But this little thing is a much simpler design for use at home. There are special shops selling prints you can use in them. I have a little collection myself. I wonder if I could make money out of these in Japan. It would be keeping my toilet. It would be keeping my toilet sparkling clean anyway. These shelves are where the pawnbroker puts articles that have been forfeited on display for customers to buy. Yes, it's a really strange miscellany, isn't it? I mean, would you buy this horse statue, for example? Well, sometimes you can find some real treasures among all the junk, you know. Are you alright, Runo? Oh, it's just, well, it looks like a collection of useless junk as a whole, but when you pick out individual things, you can't help wishing you owned them. Even that horse statue. That's exactly how the pawnbroker works. They're very clever. That's a music box. Do you have them where you come from, Runo? Yes, but I've never seen one as large as this in Japan. Oh well, this will be a treat. Shall we have a listen? What do you think? Isn't it a pretty sound? It's a beautiful sound, yes, but it's a little hard to enjoy when all the policemen in the room are giving you fierce looks. Never mind that. If any of them say anything, I'll tell Grexy to have a word. Iris Watson, Superintendent of the Scotland Yard. There's the article ledger here and Mr. Winniebank's notes, and what's this? It looks like as though someone has left a little photographic print behind. Oh, look in the back, there's some writing. Is there? Oh, show us, Susie, show us. 15th February, 10:30 p.m. Article deposited, 1 gentleman's overcoat. Loan amount paid, £1. Redemption deadline, 15th April, 10:30 p.m. Gentleman's overcoat pawned for £1. Clearly it was a very fine coat. In fact, I think... Yes, this must be the ticket for the overcoat that Ginny redeemed yesterday. And is still wearing, which belonged to McGilded. I never expected the redemption ticket to be handwritten on the back of a photograph, though. Seems Mr. Windyback just used whatever piece of paper he happened to have on hand. Have to hand. Ugh. But this photograph of a cat, it looks very familiar, doesn't it? I'm sure I've seen this exact picture somewhere else recently. Oh yes, you're right, very recently. It's the same as the one Ginny gave us earlier. Of course. I was forgetting that she gave us that print. Well, what are you waiting for then, Mr. Naruto? Get it out. Alright, let the cogs turn. Yes, they are exactly the same. I've got it. These two photographs are hide an amazing secret. A secret? What does she mean? You must tell us, Iris, at once. Do you really, really, really want to know? Yes, we need you to tell us all you know about this pair of photographs. Before that, examine the door. Behind that door is the storeroom, isn't it? That's what Gregsy said. Yes, and that's where I saw that dreadful scene last night. Through the little window in the door. Mr. Windybank face down on the floor, with Gina beside him. As the accused's legal representative, you have the right to examine the scene, Mr. Naruhodo. We must make a thorough investigation. Yes, of course, and we will. Behind that door, that's a real scene of the crime. Don't worry, if there are clues in there, I'll find them. For that, though, let's talk to you. Pair of photographs. Sorry, it's about these two photographic prints. The one we found here on Windybank's counter, and the one Gina gave us before. What is this amazing secret you mentioned that's hidden between these two identical prints? Actually, that's not quite right. Sorry. If you look carefully, the two prints aren't the same, and not exactly. They're not? I mean, I can see it easily enough. Have another look at them now. Can you see that they're just slightly different from each other? I think so. It's very subtle, though. What's the reason for the subtle difference between the two prints? Ah, well, it's because they're a set, you see. No, I don't. This pair of photographs. It's meant to be used in a stereoscope. Everyone in London is raving about them at the moment. Ah, stereoscope. Well, I feel as though I've heard that word before recently. Oh yes, that's what Mr. Holmes showed us yesterday. You see, there it is, just over there. Oh yes, of course, that magical machine that makes pictures look almost real enough to touch. Well, actually, it's quite possible to see the same depth in pictures, even without one of those contraptions. What, really? Do you know how a pair of flat photographic prints can appear to have any depth in the first place? No, I have no idea. Oh, wonderful. Then I'll be able to tell you. She's over the moon, bless her. Should we let her explain, though? We really need to carry on investigating the scene. I, for one, simply have to know. Have you ever considered Runo? Our eyes see depth in the world around us. Well, I just open them and it works. But the reason it works is because we have two eyes. Two eyes? Shocking. If you try closing just one eye at a time, I think you'll see straight away. What you see with your left eye, and what you see with your right eye, are ever so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye. Yes, the position of objects seems to shift slightly. Exactly, and in your head, your brain uses that shift to estimate depth as it merges the two views into one. That's how we can sense depth in everything we see. My brain really is amazing, isn't it? There's so much of that telling me. I think I see. So the pair of photographs consist of a left eye view and a right eye view. Is that right? Oh, well done, Susie. You're so quick. So if you can persuade your brain to merge the two pictures together in your head, you'll be able to see depth in these prints? Yes, Runo. You begin to understand. And the stereoscope's function is to act as your brain and allow you to do just that. Yes, but as long as you have two images, two eyes, and one brain, you can actually do it yourself without needing a stereoscope at all. You can, really. Oh, I love this part. Let's try. Let's see if you can view this pair of prints without the help of a stereoscope. Oh yes, I'm dying to have a go. Susato-san really loves this kind of thing. You need to be able to cross your eyes. That's the main thing. Can you both do that? Cross my eyes. I think I can. Watch me and see if you can copy. Make your eyes do this. Alright, let me try. Are you ready, Miss Naruhodo? There, how's that? Wonderful, now it's your turn, Runo. The trick is to concentrate on looking at the bridge of your nose with both eyes at the same time. Not exactly an easy task when two people are staring at you cross-eyed. Alright, that's enough practice. Now let's try looking at the prints. Yeah, this is where it actually tells you to go into, like, turn on the 3D. But you can't really do that anymore, so I have to remove that dialogue. No, that fucks with my brain right there if I try crossing my eyes. I really can't cross my eyes. I mean, I could probably, but it just bothers me and I can't do it for long. Start by staring at one print, slowly crossing your eyes. And slowly crossing your eyes. You should see two overlapping images, like this. You try it now, Runo. I'm just going to have to give it a try, I suppose. Did the print split into two images for you? Now the next step is to put the pair of prints side by side like this, and then try crossing your eyes again. Until I missed the dialogue there. You form a new single image in the center. Wait. This is to put the prints side by side like this, and then try crossing your eyes again. The prints should slowly merge together until they form a new single image in the center. Oh yes! Mr. Naruhodo, it works! I can see it in the middle now. It looks so real. I could look at it all day. I wouldn't advise that. Your eyes might start to hurt. Look, I love how they actually made the models fucking cross their eyes. Your turn, Runo. Pretend you're looking through the two pictures and slowly cross your eyes. Keep adjusting the position of your eyes until the two images overlap exactly in the middle. This is it. It's just pretty much tell you to do it yourself. Everyone at home, cross your eyes. There, you managed it. Yeah, there, you managed it. So now you know how stereoscopic images work. Well, I don't know who discovered it, but it really is quite extraordinary. So what do you think of these stereoscopic prints then, Runo? They're certainly amazing, but it isn't easy to get the knack of viewing them properly. There are some people find it easier than others. But that's why contraptions like this exist, for people who find it tricky. Definitely need that then. Oh, I recognize that. We saw one over there yesterday, didn't we? If I remember correctly, press this little knob here. Then set the pair of photographs in the stand at the back end. It's still amazing, even though I know roughly how it works now. It was also out of there. I just want to make sure I didn't fucking read the wrong thing. Well, nothing seems to agree with you. Stereoscopes are very popular at the moment. You can find one of these folding contraptions in lots of households in the capital currently. But these little machines are so affordable. Surely there's no need to go around staring cross-eyed at pictures like you hate them. But it's so much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Well, I think so in any case. Stereoscopic pictures. I never even heard of them until yesterday. We've certainly learned a lot about them, but I wonder if it's knowledge that I'll ever actually need. Alright, now that we have this second picture. Miss Naruhodo, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's something rather troubling here. I have noticed. Red smear, you mean? The red smear, you mean? Yes, it looks like blood, doesn't it? I wondered if Susato-san had picked up on that. Well, in that case... Yes, we need Iris. We should show this to her before we forget. Present this to her. Oh, it looks like blood. I would say it's from a gloved finger. Almost certainly a glove made of leather. Well, don't worry, Runo. You can leave the rest to me. Look at that. Yes, that's a color we haven't seen before, isn't it? Isn't it? We simply must add it to the portfolio of blood samples. It could be an important clue. Although, it would be nice to find out whose blood these different colors correspond to at some point. Well, this particular stain of blood. Well, you've had an idea, haven't you? Do you know whose blood this is? Yes, I have an idea whose blood it is. Not from the color it turned, but with a little deduction. That's right. I think it's clear. Iris, you know as well. You first, Runo. What do you think it belongs to? Alright, I believe that this was the blood of... Thrice-fired Mason. Thrice-fired Mason? You don't sound very sure of yourself, the way you trailed off there. Well, it was 2 months ago now, that case. And of course I never met the victim, so I'm struggling to remember his name. He's definitely thrice-fired, though. The victim of the omnibus case? Yes, his name was indeed Mr. Thrice-fired Mason. But that would mean that this bloodstain was left on the ticket 2 months ago. Yes, I think it was. Gina brought this ticket here to Windybanks yesterday. I'm suggesting that the bloodstain was already on it at that time. There's a smear of blood from the time that Mr. Mason was killed 2 months ago. Something else is coming back to me now. Mr. McGilded was also wearing leather gloves that night. Now I ask you, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fellow bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give them a hand. Certainly does look like a leather-gloved thumbprint to this mark. But we know that Mr. McGill had no injuries at the time anywhere on his body, from which we can conclude that any blood on the glove belonged to the victim, Mr. Mason. Mr. Naruhodo, you sound just like Mr. Holmes. Minus the quirky slip-ups, I hope. Yes, I think you're right, Runo. Very well. Let's make a note of this. Look at this fucking guy. He's so fucking terrifying. His fucking, that portrait still terrifies me. Windybank storeroom. I'm just checking something right now. Okay, good. Wait, oops. Poor Iris. She's climbed up completely. Iris is bound to find this difficult. After all, Mr. Windybank's life was taken in this very room only last night. Ah! Wait, Inspector! What is it now, Sunshine? You took one look at me and tried to run away. You think a Scotland Yard inspector would run away from some jumped-up little defense lawyer, do ya? Do ya? Hang on. Sorry for that, I'm back. Well... I've never seen her ladyship looking like that before, is the thing. I didn't know what to say to her. She wasn't running away from me. You were running away from a 10-year-old. I'm afraid this is all a little too much for young Iris. Some gentle reassurance might go a long way, perhaps, Inspector. Eh? Don't trouble yourself unduly. Your ladyship? I mean, at least you're not dead, are you? Nah, you were really bad at this. I was just checking something. I don't think that went very well. Why? Look, I'm in the middle of an investigation here, Sunshine. I told you not to get under my feet. We have investigating to do ourselves. Yes. I'd like to hear more of what the socially inept inspector has to say. Oh, Hurley. Oh, Hurley. Inquire into how Mr. Holmes's operation is going. Time to converse. You know what? No. Let's investigate first. The police have marked the position of the body with the chalk line. Oh, poor Mr. Windybank. He was such a nice old man. Well, he was shot just once, through the heart. Most likely the fellow died instantly. He wouldn't have felt a thing. This must be his blood, then. Ah! I don't like to ask at such a wretched time, Iris, but I wonder if perhaps... Don't worry, Susie. I'm ready for action. Bum. So now we know the color now we know the color that chemical turns when it reacts with Mr. Windybank's blood. Oh, wait, I was just subtle. Now we know. So now we know the color the chemical turns when it reacts with Mr. Windybank's blood. It doesn't match our analysis of the bloodstain we found in the main shop. No, but let's add the samples to the others we've already collected anyway. Here's a gun. This is a revolver. A revolver, a real one. And quite possibly the murder weapon used to take Mr. Windybank's life. What's the matter, Susie? You really look like you're about to faint. Well, it's just that I've really seen a gun in the flesh, and I've had issues with guns in the past. But anyway, we saw Mr. Windybank with this yesterday, didn't we? I shall have to take my own life. Must be the same gun. And last night, when I looked through the spy hole in the door to the storeroom here, that was the same gun I saw in Gina's hand. Mr. Windybank told us that he only ever had a single bullet loaded in his revolver, didn't he? Well, it's empty now. The one and only bullet he had in his gun had been fired. We could be fairly certain that only a single shot was fired from this revolver. Out of all the articles in this storeroom, this is the only thing that shows any sign of being ransacked. Ah! What is it, Iris? That's the box file that my manuscript was being kept in. Oh. Iris' unpublished story, The Hound of the Baskerville. Surely that's not what all this... Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, I sold it. Without telling you. Well, let's check inside the box. At once. Yes. Ah! It was there. The Iris' story was there. Really, it was? Well, that's good news, isn't it, Iris? Yes. I mean, of course I believed Hurley when he said he'd deposited it here, but still. It's a relief to actually see it. Really, because that's not a very well hidden frown. Hang on. Look at all these articles that have been deposited. This room is stuffed full of them. I can't believe how many there are. Bicycle, a gramophone, musical instruments, even some enormous paintings. Look. Pieces of different people's lives quietly gathering in here together. Oh, I can't talk. There's something very peaceful about the atmosphere in here. Or at least there would be, if not for the chalk outlined on the floor and the policemen shuffling around. Oh, not much I can do about that, sunshine. So we pretty much, yeah, we got everything here. Reverse with you, Gregson. So, Inspector, what do you make of the crime scene here? Pshaw! Pshaw! You've got eyes, haven't you? Use them! It is what it looks like. Nothing more, nothing less. Iris, could you lend me a hand? So, Gregsy, what do you make of the crime scene here? Oh yes, your ladyship. Do allow me to humbly explain. Last night, shortly after the hour of 1 o'clock in the morning, Scotland Yard police attended the scene. The one and only door to the storeroom was found locked from the inside. So it was locked from the inside. The lock appears to be broken now, though. Was that the police officers doing? Quite right, ma'am. Quite right. We took the liberty of smashing the door in, as humbly as possible. Oh. As you can see, the victim was discovered prostrate on the floor, thuswise. And next to the aforementioned body, we discovered the vile gutter child. Are you talking about Ginny? She's my friend, you know, Inspector. Miss Lestrade, the hapless girl, was curled up on the floor, dead to the world. She's still alive, you know. Yes, when I saw her, she appeared to be unconscious, and I'm afraid to say she had the gun that was used in her hand. No! Presumably, it's the gun that's still down there on the floor now. In her pocket, we found a key to the door as well. What? The key to the storeroom? And you say the storeroom had been locked from the inside, Inspector? Correct. All of which leaves her ladyship's friend in something of a sticky situation, I'm afraid. Look at this fucking cheeky bastard here. Eyebrows. Obviously, my personal opinion is that it's all some sort of misunderstanding. Of course it is, Inspector. Of course it is. Before anything, Inspector, what do you make of this? Oh, what have we here, then? A redemption ticket from an article deposited here, is it? Looks like someone ran out of office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever paper was to hand. Yes, this is the ticket for McGilda's overcoat, the one that Lord Diver turned up with yesterday. Oh, actually, no, it's not. Really? Think you know better than me, do you? No, I didn't mean to... Rena's right, Gregsy. It isn't the same ticket. Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. I never doubted you, your ladyship. So what's all this about then, if I might be so bold to ask? This is a second ticket. A second one? Seems that Mr. McGilden in fact had another article in storage here at Windy Banks. Is that right? I think we need to discuss this further with the Inspector, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh good, because he's ever so easy to talk to. Gregsy, do you know anything about Hurley? Is the operation finished? Is Hurley alright? Is he? The thing is, don't mince your words, Inspector, please. You don't mean to say that Mr. Holmes is... No, the operation's done and dusted. It's just that, well... Out with it! Scare the shit out of anyone doing that. Yes, ma'am. They use something called a general anesthetic. It's the latest thing. Renders the whole body insensitive. The whole body? Anesthesia? I don't know how you pronounce it that way. Anesthetist? Anesthetist? I don't know. Is that even possible? It means the operation can be completed while the patient is fast asleep. Goodness, in the Empire of Japan, we can just manage to provide laughing gas for a tooth extraction. The trouble is, the latest thing isn't always the greatest thing, if you follow my meaning. They couldn't get the medication to work at first, so it took hours for him to nod off. Or so I hear. Now that the op's finished, they can't get him to wake up, apparently. Oh my. No one knows if it's the anesthetic still in the system, or if the bug's just plain exhausted. But anyway, all they can do is stand back and watch until he comes around again. Early. The moment he opens his eyes, your ladyship, I swear I shall get word to you. What a surprise. Even in matters of life and death, Mr. Holmes has to do things his way. This ticket was in one of the pockets of Mr. McGilda's overcoat. Are you? You mean to tell me? Yes, there was more than just the music box disc, that it seems. I should have insisted on the lads taking it back to the yard and examining it properly. Well, according to the details in this ticket, Mr. McGilda deposited another article here with Mr. Windybank. Yes, I can see it written here. A small box, was it? Do you have any idea what it is, Gregsy? Any idea at all? It's another article belonging to Mr. McGilda. It could be an important clue. Well, yes, I suppose it could be. Please, don't stop looking at me with those big turquoise eyes all full of hope and expectation. It's too much pressure. I'll lose my marbles, I will. I'll go barking. There's no time for dog impressions, Inspector. That's enough sauce from you, Sunshine. There's one thing that springs to mind. According to this ticket, the redemption deadline's already passed, hasn't it? Oh yes, of course. Articles are only held for 2 months. So the small box will no longer be in here then? That's right. It's been forfeited. Which means it could be on the shelves in the front of the shop where the forfeited items are offered for sale. Yes, the shelves are in the front. We must search them at once. You're wasting your time. Oh? There are dozens of little boxes out there. Hundreds even. We can't possibly know which one might have been McGilda's. That information's not written in the ledger. Ugh. Well, I think we should at least have a look, just in case. Of course, your ladyship, of course. Very sensible of you, I'm sure. This is getting old. Ah! I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How could Mr. Winnieback set such a wicked trap? I doubt he set out to scare anyone. Is that really the time? I think perhaps we should pay Gina another visit soon. Oh? Your trial is tomorrow. We must establish whether or not you will be defending her. I think we should ask her one more time. She may have changed her mind. Don't you remember Rue now? You told her she could rip up the representation paper if she didn't want you to be her lawyer. Really? Did I say that? Yes, you did. The deadline for submitting the paperwork is fast approaching. In that case, we had better hurry back to the prison and talk to Gina again. Ah, Gina, good you're back. Ah! The police must have finished questioning her then. Oh, how was it, Ginny? Was it awful? Eh? Oh, it didn't bother me. Thank you for the papers you signed before. I think it meant we were able to investigate at Windybank's. Oh, right. Don't you want to know how we got on? We've been ever so busy. What's the point in asking? Won't change what everyone's saying, that I did it. That's not... Gina, we came to ask for your final decision. Eh? What decision? About tomorrow's trial. Will you let me defend you or not? I must submit the paperwork now if you'd like Mr. Naruhodo to represent you. Well, I see. She's really lost her fight all of a sudden. But I know what that feels like. The worry is just so hard to bear. Okay, we're gonna present. We found this in Mr. Windybank's storeroom. The manuscript of Iris's latest story. Ah! Oh, right. Well, that's good then. Curiously, the storeroom at Windybank showed no sign of being ransacked for items of value or the like. With one exception. The box file that housed this manuscript. It was you, wasn't it, Gina, who broke open the box containing the manuscript last night? Huh? We were determined to find out whether or not the Hound of the Baskerville was really there. That's a real reason you broke into the storeroom last night, isn't it? Ah! Why don't you tell us what happened? Please. Another thing. Here, Gina. Look at this. No talk. Oh, wait, no, it's something else. I wasn't thinking you could have it. Oh, weren't you? Oh, weren't you? Well, when someone says I can't have stuff, it makes me want it, see? You better hand it over now. No, I'm not giving it to you. No, we'll see. Something for later. Oh, alright then. Blimey, give it a rest with them eyes, Iris. So come on then, fill us in. Who done it? Unfortunately, we don't know that yet. You don't say. We don't know yet, Gina. And Mr. Naruhodo and all of us know that you are innocent of this crime. Well, we haven't managed to work out who the real culprit is. There are a number of interesting facts that we have managed to establish. Oh yeah, like what? Well, for example, the reason for you being there in the first place. I think I know why you broke into Windybanks that night. Yeah, just to tell you. Hey, this is where you present the manuscript. We already have the representation papers and other documents we need. All we have to do is hand them to the court clerk. Wait. Oh, all we have to do is hand them to the court clerk. That is, if you allow me to represent you in court tomorrow. No, don't bother. Ginny? Rip him up and chuck him, would you? Rip him, chuck him, would you? Them representation papers or whatever they're called. They still ain't fancy enough to have a bin. So, what will you do in court tomorrow? I'll be fine on me own. I don't think you will be. Look, it don't matter. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. This is one stubborn pickpocket. Alright, yeah. It's Baskerville's story. It's the latest Holmes adventure, right? But it ain't been printed yet. So I figure it's gotta be worth a fair few pieces of silver, right? Oh yes, at least £5,000. What? So you intended to sell Iris's manuscript, did you? No, Ginny. How could you? What? Wait, no. Hang on. Of course I wasn't gonna sell it. All I wanted to do was find out if the manuscript or whatever you call it really was there or not. That's the only reason I was in the place. For Iris' sake, isn't that right? We knew why you'd done it from the start, Gina. Of course we did. But I knew you wouldn't do anything mean like that, Ginny. I just knew it. Well, when I saw the manuscript in the storeroom, it reminded me of what you said the night before. Crimes do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced lies, the lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling you, that manuscript ain't at Windybanks. You'd soon see if you had a look. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. I mean, I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Oh, Ginny, that's so sweet of you. That was so sweet of you. Alright. I'll tell you why I did it. Just stop looking at me like that, Iris. It wasn't because of Iris. No, that's not why I did it. It's just, I just want to know the truth, that's all. I want to know if Mr. Holmes is being honest? If he really deposited the manuscript at Windybanks? It's like I told you the night before. I never had a father. Iris's law ain't like mine. She got her dad, only she can't see him. And I reckon it's gotta be Otter. That's why she writes the stories. They're about her dad, really. That's what it sounded like to me anyway, last night when I was listening to what you were saying. Stories about Daddy? You mean they're not the adventures of a great detective, so much as the adventures of a great detective and his trusty partner? Well, that's how I see it, yeah? You're so thoughtful and so kind, Ginny. Yes, and we never thought any differently, did we? Look, give it a rest, will ya? I hate this all this chummy nonsense. Do you hear it? I hate it. I don't trust no one, right? That's how I work. Because if you don't trust no one can let you down. So leave me alone. Go on, Scarpa. I hadn't noticed until now, but it's unmistakable. Right there on both sleeves of the overcoat are some very suspicious red stains. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I think it might be worth presenting some of our other findings in that area of the Gina now. This is where, sorry, yeah, I was ahead of myself. This is where you present the blood samples thing. Those stains on the sleeves of your new coat, Gina. They're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet. What? Blood, Miss Naruhodo? You don't appear to have any obvious wounds yourself, though. So it could be blood that spattered from Mr. Windybank when he was shot last night. Let's not beat around the bush here. This trusty friend of mine will get results much faster than anything else. Take it easy, Iris. Don't move, Ginny. I'm going to shoot. Boom! So all purple. Oh my! What the? Forget the sleeves. The whole coat is covered in blood. Of course. Black color of the fabric was masking the stains. That's why we haven't seen them until now. That blood has reacted with the chemical to turn a purple color, which matches one of the samples we've already collected perfectly. Yes, now let's see. Who had the purple blood? Oh yeah, yes, it was the brick maker, Mr. Mason, the victim of the murder case 2 months ago. I knew it. What are you all on about? The victim? What do you mean? It's a rather uncomfortable situation, Mr. Naruhodo, but I think this makes things quite clear. It means the omnibus case is finally solved. The truth about who really murdered the brick maker, Mr. Mason, is revealed. Oi! Would someone explain what's going on? It's not done half a story. We can see now that the victim's blood is all over Mr. McGilda's overcoat. But in the trial 2 months ago, the defendant said this in his testimony. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about my gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. But if you look at this overcoat now, it's clear. These stains couldn't have arisen from McGilda trying to pull the victim to his feet. Now, if that's what had really happened, the blood wouldn't have splashed all over the front of the coat. The only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over McGilda's coat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach. I've tried to run from the truth for long enough, but there's no escaping it now. The true culprit in that case, Mr. Mason's killer, was Magnus McGilded. Mr. Naruhodo, that horrible case is solved at last, and I helped the man walk free from that trial. Use all that twisted testimony and all that sham evidence to prove his innocence. How could I have let that happen? Bruno, did you believe him, though? Did you believe Mr. McGilda was innocent? I believed, or rather, I think I was trying to believe. I wanted to. Because believing in those you represent in court is a defense lawyer's greatest weapon. A weapon? Before we came to Great Britain, a great friend of mine taught me a valuable lesson. You mean Kazuma-sama? Listen, Ryunosuke. We lawyers are only human. We can't know for sure what is the truth and what is a lie, which is why we must resort to our primary weapon. An unwavering belief in our clients. That's all we really have. Unwavering belief? Only when we truly believe what our clients tell us can we fight with everything we have for their cause. In any battle, there can be no victory without faith. So I believe you, unwaveringly. What's funny, Gina? Cool. Sounds like in this empire of Japan you come from, everyone must be soft. Oh, come on. Look at the mess it's got you into, believing in that bog trotter. Yes, I inadvertently helped a murderer walk free. Well, at least you learnt your lesson now, eh? Believing in people's never worth it. Someone always stabs you in the back in the end. So, as soon as you let down your guard, yeah, you've had it. Take a leaf out of my book. Believe no one. Get up by no one. Gina, may I ask you something? What? I'd just like to make absolutely sure. What would you like us to do with these representation papers for tomorrow's trial? How many times do I have to say it? Rip them up and chuck them away. Are you really sure that's what you want? I'll bet that's what you want and all now, Mr. I'm a believer lawyer over there. Don't forget it was me in that draw 2 months ago. I led everyone up the garden path, didn't I? And you're telling me you can believe in me after that? Not likely. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, a lawyer's primary weapon is an unwavering belief in his clients. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not I feel I can trust Gina after everything that's happened. Gina, let me say it again. Please allow me to represent you in tomorrow's trial. Eh? Oh, you have baked? Not at all. You've not once admitted to committing the crime, have you? What's more, I believe that you're telling me the truth. Seriously, Mrs. Naruhodo? Didn't you hear all what I said before? I'm a born liar. Fibs just trip off me tongue, and I'm a diver, don't forget. I pulled the wool over your eyes 2 months ago, and you got into all sorts of trouble. Why would you ever trust me now? I just don't get it. Gina, I do understand why you choose not to put your trust in others. But as I assure you, there is more to this life than you yet realize. What do you mean? What do you mean? The world we live in is full of people you would do very well to trust. People who won't ever let you down. Eh? It's true that I'm just a student of law, and I'm certainly lacking in courtroom experience. But I can promise you this. Whatever happens, and until my very last breath, I am completely on your side. What would you expect me to say to that? Then it's decided. I will take these papers now and carry out the necessary preparations for tomorrow's trial. It would be a shame to throw them away now after it's been penned with your name so beautifully. Do what you like. Beast in Lord or... Oh. I don't know what you are. I don't get you. Gina's taken herself off the back of her cell. She'd never admit it, but I hope she's feeling relieved. That turned out alright in the end, I think. Whoever's hiding there, show yourself at once. Eavesdropping is the height of cowardice. Miss Susato? Someone is there in the shadows. I can sense it. Somebody who wasn't there before. What? Blimey, you're sharp, eh? Blimey, you're sharp, eh? I suppose you were using one of those mystic Japanese arts, like the art of stealth I heard so much about. If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector. Gregsy! Oh dear me, I'm most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you. How long have you been listening in on a conversation? Good grief, listening in? No. I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave even though it was after hours. I assure you, your ladyship, I only just arrived this very minute, not a moment earlier. That's all it is, nothing untoward, nothing at all. After hours? Is it that late already? So then, I'll humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship. Ta-ta, toodaloo, cheerio, all the best. Bye, and bye. That's a lot of farewells, not one of them appropriate for her ladyship. Chip chip cheerio. Oh, but I wanted to have a chat. I'm terribly sorry, but time is pressing at the end of a minute. Oh, I see. That's a shame. If I don't get this emergency at the Supreme Court dealt with Sharpish, Lord Stronghart will, well... Emergency? Lord Stronghart? Nothing. Forget I said anything. Anyway, I'm off. Alright, Gregsy, if you have to, but let's chat soon. Delighted. Charmed. Can't wait. If you please, my pleasure. It's a lot of pleasantries, and now one of them sounded sincere. Gregsy's so funny. Yes, he says such silly things. It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police fawning to a 10-year-old girl. Anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court. I must attend the court clerk's office before it closes. Yes, of course. Thank you, Miss Susato. Susato? Kindly escort Iris home now, Mr. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later. And so our investigation came to an end. Susato went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day, and then it hit me. I could no longer suppress the wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my insides. Tomorrow, Susato-san would be leaving Britain and making her way back to Japan. Naruhodo-san, it's been a very trying day, hasn't it? I do hope you're not too exhausted. What about you, Susato-san? Today's been even more trying for you, I'm sure. Mr. Holmes was shot before our eyes, Gina was arrested, and all on the back of the news that her father has fallen ill and that she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon. Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage in my head like a storm, and yet I seem unable to find the words to express any of them. I know exactly what you mean. Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow. One final task. It's just 2 months since we arrived in London, but we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. Well, I would be lying if I said I felt no regret. So sorry, Susato-san. It's just so sudden. I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts. I know we've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience of the courtroom, I feel I've learned something. What would that be? It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities. Facets? And like a jewel, the light plays off them in complex patterns, illuminating their actions and their motives. But we only see a small number of the total facets, and what is illuminated is only a pair of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do those facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay eyes on, for as long as we live. That's so true. Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much, but I keep hoping that one day it will all become clear. That all the facets will be illuminated, and I'll finally understand how everything fits together. Naruhodo-san, suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open and keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark. It's amazing to think it's just been 2 months. You've grown so much. Sorry? I've what? Oh no, it was nothing. Unimportant. Do you know what time you'll leave London in the morning? Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I shall be leaving here at 4 a.m. I see. Well, I'll escort you to the station. Absolutely not. Sorry? I'm sure you realize why I couldn't possibly let you do that. You have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow. Gina's trial. Yes, I know, but every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible, even though, like me, I'm sure you will find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try. You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What do you mean? Oh my, I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this. What is that? Some huge bundle of documents. It's my notes from the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus. A McGilded case. Seems to me that this case of Mr. Windybank's murder, for which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case, in ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about the case for you. With everything else she's had to think about, Susato-san still managed to do this, and all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting. It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it will bolster your case tomorrow for Gina. Thank you so much, Susato-san. I will do my best to use it wisely. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that, what you said there. Oh, ignore me. I was just mumbling to myself. Well, it's getting rather late. I think you should go to bed now. Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things in my room. Susato-san, I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night. Wait, there's something I need to say. Hiya! What was that? A secret technique of mine. The Susato shutdown. Shutdown? Please, I implore you. We have to voice our goodbyes. I won't be able to hold back my tears. Susato-san. Ugh. It truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us and learning the truth about that nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally, I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes, and as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind. Eventually, my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. Seventeenth of April, a small hours, Saint Sinner's Hospital, Ward 3. Yes, I quite understand. That is a great weight off my mind. That is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured, I shall put everything in place, exactly as we have discussed. Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Holmes. On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine. I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. My dear madam. To be continued. And that is it for the investigation. There's the trial next time, and oh boy. So you can already tell that investigation was fucking amazing. There's so many, like, there's just so much to talk about with it. You know, you get to see how adorable Iris is. You get to see more of like how more of Gregson's weirdness come out. Of course, we learn just a little bit more about what's going on in Susato-san's mind, but you know, there's still a lot of mystery going around. Of course, is going to be solved after the trial takes place. And trust me, you guys are in for a fucking wild ride. So next time on the Greatest Attorney Adventures, we're going to be starting this trial, and we get to see some interesting characters, to say the least. So see you guys then. Take care.